surrounded by many rumors. People said that the spirits of patients who had passed away there were still wandering the halls and corridors. Mariam, a young nurse, had recently been hired at the hospital. She wasn't scared of these rumors and was ready for her first night shift. However, her colleagues had warned her never to stay alone during the night shift and to always keep the lights on. On the first night, Mariam spent all her time with the patients and nothing strange happened. But as the clock approached midnight, strange things began to occur. First, she heard footsteps echoing in the hallways, but when she went to check, there was no one there. Then, the sound of bells from empty rooms could be heard, but when she went to those rooms, there were no patients. Mariam decided to ignore these occurrences and continue with her work, but when she returned to the nurse's restroom, she saw something that made her blood run cold. A faint image of a woman appeared in the mirror, seemingly asking for help. Mariam quickly turned around to see if someone was behind her, but there was no one there. From that night on, Mariam never worked the night shift alone and always stayed away from the dark corridors. She realized that some rumors might be closer to reality than we think. In a small town, there was an old hotel that had not been stayed in for a long time. The locals said that the hotel was cursed, and anyone who spent the night there would never be the same again. One night, a young man named Amir, who was looking for work, was hired as the night watchman at the hotel. He was unaware of the terrifying rumors and was only thinking about earning money. Motivated and full of hope, Amir began his night shift. Everything seemed normal at first. Amir checked the CCTV cameras and walked around the hotel. But as midnight approached, strange things began to happen. First, he heard footsteps echoing in the empty corridors. Amir followed the sound but found no one. Then the sound of old music from the ballroom reached his ears. Amir went to the ballroom in surprise and saw that the lights had turned on automatically and music was playing from an old gramophone. But there was no one in the ballroom. When Amir returned to the security office, he saw images on the CCTV that showed people in Qajar-era clothes walking through the corridors. He was terrified and decided to leave the hotel. But the exit doors were locked, and no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't open them. Amir spent the entire night in terror, and when morning came, the local people found him unconscious in the security office. He could never explain what happened that night, but from then on, no one ever saw him happy and smiling again. Amir said that every night he sees the same sounds and images in his dreams. On the outskirts of a town that always fell into silence, there was a small supermarket that stayed open late into the night. Muhammad, who had recently been hired as a night guard, was starting his first shift. He was unaware of the rumors about the supermarket, rumors of whispers that murmured in the night and were never seen. The night shift started peacefully. Muhammad checked the CCTV cameras and then began patrolling the store. But as midnight approached, strange things began to happen. First, he heard murmurs coming from the empty shelves, voices that seemed to be telling ancient stories. Muhammad searched for the source of the voices, but found no one. Then he noticed shadows moving on the walls. Shadows that took the form of people seemingly engaged in conversation. He tried to understand what they were saying and soon realized they were recounting tales from long ago. Feeling fear now, Muhammad decided to return to the guard's office and wait for morning. But when he reached the office, he found it filled with old books he had never seen before. Books that each contained terrifying stories. Muhammad stayed in the guard's office until morning, reading the books. When dawn broke, he was no longer the same person who had entered the supermarket the night before. He now knew stories that should never be forgotten, stories that had become a part of him.